ARK is in a bit of a bad state, to put it nicely, since Ascended's release, heck even way back before then. An underlying negative response has continued to fester and become so much more vicious nowadays, it questions even a public acknowledgement of what one enjoys, without a to-ride-meeting battle of morale. But it reaches a point where you can't ignore the large majority can't be wrong. Sadly, wading through frustrated hate-spilling posts makes it nearly impossible to bind a list of constructive concerns that may offer a redirection towards a more positively responded future. But regardless, we ran a feedback post and collated the most constructive responses into a top 10. So, here we go. Number 10, stop doing release dates. Okay, release dates can be great, and there's nothing better than to clear your day, book it off and call in sick to play that latest DLC you've been waiting months to play. The trouble is, ARK release dates are as reliable as McDonald's ice cream machines. Though credit where credit's due, Lost Island and Fjorda did release on time, but it's beyond the running jokes ARK fans have come to expect now. Understandably, many factors come into play when planning a specific date and executing, especially within the games industry and especially with ever-developing tech, and I'm sure Wildcard have every intention to meet their deadlines. But despite certain outcry for release dates when not offered either, setting an honest expectation is a more rewarding outcome for all parties. A solid example, though notably a barely business-led team, is Irongate and their Valheim DLC dates, plainly releasing when it's ready, but compensating with developer diaries where available. So yeah, dates. Have a think about it. Number 9, new story maps. Perhaps a more controversial topic, and one certainly more in tune with seasoned ARK players. Despite the refreshing overhaul of ARK maps, reimagined using the latest cutting-edge Unreal 5 engine and breathing new Lumin and Nanite life into maps of the original game, it became apparent with many following ASA's launch that once the next generation fidelity had worn off, realization we're still playing the same old maps began to sink in, causing a sooner than expected boredom followed by frustration in awaiting new content. Whilst some promise with Ascended's next map could deliver some rejuvenation with new caves and secrets to explore, the fear is we may find the same attention span once again. Fantastic Four, The Mummy, Hellboy, remake nostalgia can only stretch so far, whereas new experiences to adventure can flesh out an entirely new longevity depending on reception. Not to feel completely innocent though, we did ask for it. We wanted a return to form and to relive ARK as it was back in 2015-16, and perhaps what makes it nostalgic is the value of the memory. Nevertheless, Wildcard have already hinted at new story maps underway, originally planning to release a brand new map much earlier than expected, and perhaps following a fair deal of criticism, it may be worth investing more into sequels than remakes. At number 8, stop the wacky ideas. A show of hands, who expected to play a Mickey Mouse game when they picked up ARK? Anyone? No. Of course, it's excellent demonstration of modding flexibility for ARK moving forward, but it's clear the messaging didn't exactly hit the mark we hoped. It's a tightrope trick to balance innovation against pragmaticism and danger of stagnating evolution, but in a reliving moment of 2015 ARK with overpromise of multiple projects and seeing which sticks causes divide, confusion and frustration, leaving some still hoping for Primitive Plus to be revived and some wondering why user-generated cosmetic skins can be surprise launched when the current map remains to be as stable and consistent as it should be. With ever-emerging competition more prevalent than ever, dreams to reshape ARK's foundation seems reasonable enough, but spreading more thinly along a larger slice of bread doesn't make the sandwich taste any sweeter now, does it? A desire to tighten a talented mix of resources towards delivering one finished product after the other could offer a fuller, well-satisfied customer, happy to return again until the next dish on the menu is available. At number 7, don't server lock paid mods. A real concern for saturation and division within ARK's community. We're already paying a fair amount to host servers that our friends can join us on, and now we have to expect them to pay for the content I want to share with them on my server? Now, I appreciate this isn't a simple request with God knows how many loopholes to account for, but feeling like we're back in the Xbox One DRM announcement days, isolating friends or forcing them to pay a price to share your experiences feels like exactly that. If anything, the opportunity to sample that premium mod I've paid for and excited to share could have an adverse effect, bringing communities back together and tightening a shared audience to inevitably share themselves. Delivery, of course, is the difficult piece, requiring some new system that allows temporary access to premium mods whilst on server. Yeah, God knows how you do that. Or even some shared account system, unlike the many that will share their Netflix subscriptions with family and friends, who often end up paying for themselves eventually. Either way, it's already visible to find poor taste in server hosting premium mods for communities and in need of a revised outlook before it's too late. In at number 6, no pay to win. As clear as it can be, with recent new adventure packs concerning a probability of a pay-to-win environment in official, it's a road wildcard need to tread carefully venturing down. Ironically, pay-to-win has always been around within an acceptable format of DLC map content, with later maps almost always offering something much more powerful than the one prior. But the line seems to be firmly drawn when it comes to DLC within the same map. This could simply be hot air. There's been no confirmation we may see the Oasis sword running on all official PvP servers, and some argument to suggest it would be impossible too. Looking right now at the Gigantoraptor delivered as a mandatory downloadable mod for all that join official servers, with its eventual steps to be built into the codebase. And a new creature with its own model, physics and game actors means code has to be identified by anyone, and means that anyone not purchasing the adventure packs should be unable to see it at all. And I'm firmly sitting on that argument until suggested otherwise. But if developed in some new unforeseeable method to be used in official PvP by only players that have purchased, could really spell some even darker responses than we're currently seeing. In at number 5, Sotif. For me, one of the biggest disappointments so far. Left to be a dormant, interactive menu icon not nobody is clicking through to access at the moment. And it's a massive shame. So much time and effort spent redeveloping a format that arguably gained ARK its initial reputation with so much promise, feels like it's doomed before it even began. Delivered as a core offering with ASA at launch, Survival of the Fittest came with promises of matchmaking queues, character and creature customization, local lobbies and more maps. And at the time of writing, none have been delivered. And in some results, barely anybody is playing a feature that deserves it, but it could be owed to something that to date has never been addressed: Battle Pass. In a time that wildcard, or rather their profit-searching publishers, are attempting new formats to warrant fresh revenue streams, it's baffling the most obvious one has never been explored. Demonstrated very successfully by other Battle Royale games, a progression reward should have been there right from the very off and warrant a reason to win each round. Noted to be said support would only be offered if players continue to play it. Too much has been invested to not at least try something many SOTIF players have been asking for a long time now. In at number 4, server partners. Okay, perhaps this one's a complete pipe dream, but the cracks are becoming thick and murky that a question needs to be considered by even the host team themselves. Met to an overwhelming public outcry, publisher Snail Games clawed through some debt desperation by accepting a $4 million loan from Marbis, aka server hosting company Nitrado, to in return offer exclusivity of all server rentals for the subsequent 3 years. And whilst some dream to package all under one roof combined with CurseForge mod support could have been the vision, the rug pull from players' flexibility, who'd been sitting quite comfortably on through Survival Evolved, became a carpet-burning nightmare for everyone. Most recently, a removal of content partners in a rumoured underperforming forecast reveals the first signs of a poor business decision, with further concerns over price adjustments and an irreparable reputation with many users. Now, this could seem irreversible with Snail contractually obliged to Nitrado, but the power really is in Nitrado's hands, with the ability to invite other server providers into the fold. The clear attempt to corner the market seemingly hasn't fared so well to date, and negotiations to swallow some pride and invite competitors, in turn providing versatility in knowledgeable support, stable confidence, and ultimately a glimmer of respect, could be the perfect move in some negotiable opportunity for all companies included. In number 3, optimize. Clean code base. Clean code base. I'll say it again. Clean code base. 3 words many cling to dearly in the countdown to ASA, only to be left wondering what the hell that actually meant. Just over 4 months later, and it's still a wonder what it meant, with the same old bugs clawing out the woodwork, and worse so, heightened by an even more hardware demanding game. To be fair, many issues have been patched since launch, and crashing is certainly less so than it was, but it's still as relevant as ever, and still as frustrating as ever. In a bold move to bring players in to buy a new version of the game they've already played, this had to run flawlessly. Sadly, in what seemed to be a rushed deadline, the team have been ever since playing catch up on running a stable bug-free frame rate. Appreciating Unreal 5 is still a fairly new engine with its own problems to boot, its paramount player confidence is restored to play ARK Ascended without worry about the next crash. A divide for new content to play and bills to pay drives a concern on an acceptable stability anytime soon. Not least helped by attempting to future-proof with ASA launching with all the whiz and bangs it could, but interestingly so has begun to unravel some thought that a dense environment with millions of rocks and foliage may not necessarily be the right decision. Whilst pretty to look at, constrains and distracts gameplay and sucks the power out of underperforming machines. As time ticks on, hardware becomes cheaper, this may rectify itself, but there's so many actionable steps still not taken to convince players what clean code base actually means. In at number 2, change publisher. In respect to the community and an ever popular request, I've included this, but I've got to be honest, this is never gonna happen. It'll take something just shy of parting waves with a stick for developers Wildcard and publishers Snail Games to split up. ARK makes up for a majority of Snail Games profits, and despite wavering stock prices and consistent pitchfork and torches for someone to buy their IP, it's just not going to change without Snail Games sucking it drier than scorched earth. And look, I get it. I see the influence they have and the mind-numbing, spiraling negativity topics such as T-Tribe creates. But, and it's not to excuse them, they paid what they did for ARK and will do anything they can to get a return. It's how most investors work, only the cream of the crop have some value on well-being and vision over dollar signs, which for me really begs the question, could any other publisher really make a difference? And in at number 1, transparency. Ironically, the most clearly suggested change from the community is just a bit of honesty. The remaining silence, for whatever reason it may be, continues to create an ever-devolving breakdown between product and player, reaching new lows to feel personally disrespected and, in turn, biting back disrespect. To side note a little, there should never be any reason to direct anger or hate against anyone, and the length some go to is outright disgusting. And perhaps that's a little ode to the silence given. But something needs to change. The community aren't unintelligent. The majority of us know you're people with hopes and passions and inclined to make mistakes just like any of us. And all we want is for you to share that. Even the most insignificant few words can make a real difference. A humane, compassionate reflection without concern on market-led buzzwords and shareholder-led time decisions. A reminder to all wildcard are just as passionate as the community are, and a bridge built to share that much more closely than it currently is. Naturally, work comes first, but whatever walls have been built to limit regular comms needs to be torn down. Devs should feel excited to share anything remotely worked on. A barely material layered dino ear, a wireframe vaulting mechanic, what you hope makes it to the finished product when you think it might be and when you doubt it will. To excuse moments such as an ASA tree reveal, if much more commonplace, the fun poking would soon flourish to respect. And a reminder that we're all people, that all want the game to be as successful as it possibly can be. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, comment below, let me know. And if you've agreed or disagreed, I'd love to read the comments and all that jazz. So until the next one, my name's Raasclark. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And as always, peace out. Top.